Alrighty, g'day guys, welcome to the casting of the Jub PP Tournament Finals. We have Force of Execution on West against TBA on East. So let's get into it, we'll let everyone pick their roles. And let's have a look. So, for Red, got Disciple with Crab. It's Disciple. And I guess, yeah, Thrall now as a unit. It's easy to forget that these icons, which were just didn't mean anything for quite a long time, hey, this one's suddenly good. Alright, we've got... Ooh, this will be interesting to see how Blue plays it. Raider Exarch, or is he going to start Pirate Exarch? I think you can make a case for either. Got Watcher on purple and probably just a zombie start on teal. I don't see what else he'd want to do. Alright, yellow, what are we working with? Watcher, potential mid-game options, but probably watch Bushroll. Got Komodo Crusader, I would expect, with the auras mixed in. Got probably Landlubber with Nightsaber Parasite. And Monk with Warchief. Okay, interesting rolls. Speed through the first little section. We're playing Monk's Servant, we want to be safe versus Warrior. Disciple, of course. Fangtooth Exarch. Alright, I didn't think the Fangtooth was going to come out, but there you go. It's the Fangtooth. Got, yeah, Zombie with Ranger 2 nulls actually staying 1-0. Again, anti-Warrior, I imagine. 3 Watchers, Crusader start. A bit surprised you went Crusader start, but I guess just early 4-0. Okay, fair enough. Monk with Servant and the Landlubber lane. Okay. So we see King start from West. Fair enough, he needed 1 gold. If he wants another zombie on 2, and like, probably. This was exclusively to not die to warriors from his line, which feels kind of bad, I guess, but it does make sense. Because if he sent warriors and he's just playing solo zombies, like, basically out of the game straight away. Anyway. Job done. Won't be too much to see for a little bit, I don't imagine. Double Exarch Fangtooth. What do we do? Just an Ice Troll. Okay. It makes sense, right? Guess Ice Troll good with Crusader. So he's just talking about a straight 5. So now we know this. What does straight 5 look like? Disciple? Disciple is fine versus straight 5. This has a really bad time versus straight 5. This is just like a push lane. Does like semi-okay, but it's push lanes that doesn't love straight 5. His worst levels, like, yeah, and Teal's worst levels are 4-5. It's pretty good. So, I think it might be a little bit difficult for West to deal with that. See the Militia from pink. To add the Sentry in front. Yeah, fair enough. Sentry into presumably then Nightsaber on 5. Still good for 7. Monk with the Slave Master. Yeah, sure. This overbuilt Watches. He probably had this many for 3. Komodo. Crusader Ice Troll. I think orange is leaking. But that could well be deliberate for a 5 send, right? So I guess he's gonna go second alpha. He got the Militia, which is actually nice, right? Because he needs 5 gold. If he's going alpha male, he wants 5 gold. So with the Militia, it's only 4. Yep, is indeed leaking. But I'm very sure that Orange knew that was going to happen and was just leaking to get more send. So yeah, this lake is really important. I think we talked about it a bit in the last video, but just changing those increments between reaching like Blood Orc Verb versus Blood Orc Hermit, second Blood Orc versus Verb, like these things matter a lot. Anyway. Okay, yes, we do go second alpha. Is my maths just completely wrong? Yeah, must have been. Must have been. What was I looking at? Did he have a wisp in the queue or something? I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. Alright. Not going third disciple for red. Makes sense, but obviously, like, knowing what we know, it would be kinda good. Yeah, blue is not doing well here. This is honestly probably doing okay. But double Blood Orc might kill those violets real quick. Anyway, we'll watch teal. His send is Blood Orc Hermit Horse, so that's not too bad. He'd rather have that than Blood Orc Ferb or double Blood Orc, for sure. So in terms of send split, he can't be too sad about it. Yeah, zombies are a little bit on the fragile side here. He just managed to get small mid off, so that's good. Like, at least he's mid, right? It still doesn't feel that great for him, because you look at mid and it's like, how much gold are we? Oh, there's 3 Blood Orcs. So yeah, it's like, yeah, he stayed low and he was mid, it's important, it's good. Like, it was important that he holds, and he held. But, you know, from teal's point of view, it doesn't feel that good, because you're not actually making that much money here, considering how low your push was. Anyway, Thornmail got on 5, so they do a bit of king, keep all the heals. So West is feeling like okay, especially if they got a little bit of regen on the king. Which they do. They have... is that 5 regen?
Job's done.
20 to... so it's 28? Yeah, it's 5 regen. Okay. It's actually quite a bit of regen. Right. Teal most likely selling 1 null for 2 butchers on 7. I assume he has to sell 1 null to get farm space, but... could be some leaks from his team. I still don't think he gets enough gold. Still think he's selling an null, but selling a null is totally fine, of course. Alright, how about here? So we've got Pink staying 5-1. What a living privateer, interesting. A little bit surprised we didn't just go, we went for a privateer instead of just more Night Sabers or Undeads, but it's like, it's still okay on 7. And then green staying somewhat low, just to, yeah, going more monks, fair enough. There's definitely going to be a resend from East. Like, they're really inclined to resend into, honestly, kind of low mid 5. And scouted Thornmail. So I'd be really surprised if they skip everything. Especially when they don't see any butchers here. They just see zombies. So they don't necessarily know that teal... ah, he had to sell his ranger. Oh. That sucks. I thought he'd have enough gold with just selling a null. Because I figured he'd get a bit more money from the mid. That feels bad to sell the ranger because he's going to be rebuilt. Like, it's kind of expensive and he's going to be rebuilding it again for 10. Most likely, anyway. Alright. 4 monks, max slave, and a turret. Second Night Saber, good. I like the second Night Saber. Then over here it's mostly just teal with his 2 butcher, 2 alpha. What do we want to watch? Let's watch green. Because his lane can be really different depending on what the aggro does. It's not getting a little bit lost. These 2 are damage sharing really well though. They're actually hitting the Ferb early, that's quite good. Too many creeps now on this right hand side, but these two monks at least at the end are gonna share. So focus was like a little janky, but it looks like it's good enough. Pink leaks one Wyvern, which is obviously pretty solid. Green goes small mid. And then teal goes mid as well. Teal has both his butchers mid, but they were both pretty low, so he doesn't get a ton, like, yeah, once again, he doesn't get a ton of gold. But him going mid is really important, of course, with Thornmail from his team. So that'll definitely, like, him being mid definitely saves him the heal, which is pretty important. Even though he hasn't made like tons and tons and tons of gold in mid, like he's still held all the send levels, so he's still fine in the game. Like he's not going to be biggest lane come the mid game, but he is still really really good on 10, which is the team obviously needs. Always need it. It's rough losing that second heal. These guys save theirs. So overall, I think East is feeling a bit better in this spot. Both their holders were pretty successful on 7. They got some King Lakes on the other team 5. And yeah, they got 2 lanes that are looking solid for 10. Whereas obviously teal looks really good. Blue's gonna try, but without actually being like overbuilding or clearing any send levels, it's always like a little bit more of a question mark. But just any build that pushes into and then like pushes in the 1 to 7 and then goes for a 10 hold. It's often just like, because you generally, unless the game's really really slow or you're like really far ahead, got a bunch of King Links on the other team, generally you just end up like a little on the low side of value. Which of course means like if you have good focus it's all fine, but you're just a little more vulnerable to having bad focus, right? Or a bit more likely to leak if your focus isn't great. You know, it's always setup dependent, blah blah blah, it's completely case by case, but as a general rule it's more difficult to hold 10 if you're doing it from a YOLO setup as opposed to an overbuilt setup. Okay, double 7-2 on East. I mean, it makes sense, right? Basically just trying to look for just 2 mids. 2 mids 10, not needing to do much king into just kill west on the first mid game send. East, like, they want to take another heal on 10, but I imagine what they're sort of thinking is like, hey, as long as we break blue, like teal's kind of allowed to mid because it's kind of hard to stop him from holding. As long as blue doesn't mid, and we don't have to do a bunch of king ups, right? Because as you can see, their king's really low at the moment. So as long as they break blue, they don't have to do a bunch of king ups. I imagine they're super happy about it. Right, 50 reroll from blue. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. Doesn't have enough gold for, like, to really make use of what he's rolled into here, though. The solo rat on 10, I've never seen that. Right, let's switch teal. Let's watch blue, actually, since I just made a point of, like, he's a little bit susceptible to bad focus. Because you can see, like, the values, right? 1600, 1900, 1900, 1900, right? Overbuild setup, overbuild setup, overbuild setup, YOLO setup. Like, pretty similar pushes, right? Yeah. Didn't have a great focus. Solar Villain didn't hit the same boss as both the butchers. And he's leaking too, right? How about... Okay. Graham went mid. Pink had, Pink potentially also could have had better focus. I imagine there's a world where the 1900 value lane kills one boss instead of leaving 2 bosses below 300 HP. But Graham was able to mid. And, like, even though it does suck for Pink, like, it really sucks, it is still a lot of damage, if nothing else, right? Yeah, teal can't kill anything mid, because healthy boss is coming early. Neither can green. Yeah, So it is actually going to be a fair few king ups from east. So they didn't... I don't imagine they got away with like really what they're wanting here, which is just not having to do much king. As you can see, they've had to do quite a lot. To make it a bit difficult for them to send pre-14, potentially even slightly difficult to send 14, although they did take the last heal from west. So obviously they got one line 7-3 stayed for a little longer, presumably just to help up the king. Then you got another line that was just shafted by focus, stuck 7-2. So both these guys have super low lumber off the rip. Yellow and orange both pushing past 7-5. I imagine as a reaction to that happening, right? On these two lanes, or at least partially as a reaction, which is good. I mean, it makes sense. Good team play, good awareness. Obviously, I don't know exactly what they're planning. I mean, I was talking about 14, but probably they're not that inclined to 14 into double butcher, right? Probably don't need to be that scared of 14 either. So we'll see if, yeah, okay, it does go 7-4. I don't get Charlocks, do I? No, that's fine. Okay, Reno win for East. Reno win for East is really, really good. Because, you know, they're still 0 heals. So they do want their lanes to not be leaking 14. Arena win helps with that. If I was green, I would just stay. 0 heals, just go mid. That's like where my head would be at. Your mates went double 7-6. So yeah, just be strong. I do think I would do Thrall in front. If I was green. Maybe this little lava spawn is worth it being behind though. Because if you put the Thrall in front, the lava spawn does die. Okay, leaks from red, leaks from yellow? Probably yellow. Yeah. So neither red nor yellow actually has to leak. Red probably will. No? Okay, I think that's a hold attempt. I don't think it'll be successful, but I think it is an attempt. Alright, couple of rerolls. LOD, which is okay. Hydra, which is pretty good. Meliai as well, potentially, has some use. So I think red is going to leak here. I think he's trying to hold. I think he's not quite going to be able to. And I say not quite. Maybe he was wanting to leak still. I mean, Disciple's just, it's a little bit rough on those range levels. It really is. Okay. So, little lumber check here. About 1900, 1250, 16, 14, 1750, 1750, 11, and 1400, close enough. Yeah, it's low lumber. I feel like just skipping 14 based off just, hey, like, there are a couple of strong lanes on each side. And the lumber is just... the lumber's just low. Like, if I'm on East, I'm looking at green, I'm looking at pink, and I'm thinking like, hey, these guys are probably just doing well enough against a relatively low send. If I'm on West, I'm thinking like, yeah, I really hope these guys I really hope East sends 14, because I think it's hard to contest 15 for West. Or I think, like, sorry, I shouldn't say it's hard to contest. I think it's hard for West to win 15. It's because if you look at the values between the strongest lanes, we got like 3150, 31 on these two guys, blue and teal. Whereas pink and green, 34, 35, right? So there's a couple hundred extra value on pink and green in particular, which can really just be, that can really be making the difference between like actually killing the Firelord and like licking Firelord Kraken. Right, which is a massive, massive difference. We'll see if either team sends. Both teams actually skipping 15. Okay. That's definitely on the ballsy side for both. I suspect, looking at values, that even with not the greatest send, I mean, I say not the greatest send, but we're not quite reaching Behemoth. And we're definitely not reaching Behemoth, so it does make sense to skip. So they should know the lumber's similar. And once again, that's from the level 10, right? It's from Pink not doing as well as he would have wanted. And then East having to do quite a lot of king ups. Yeah, both teams just immediately pull the trigger on 16. Makes sense. They realize, like, hey, once both teams skip, it's like, it's just, we have to skip the 15. It's just like, yeah, we have to send. If either team skips, they probably die. I think that's, yeah. I think any team that skips here dies here.
Research complete. I pledge my loyalty. Ready to upgrade complete.
Alright. So, we'll fast forward for a sec. Alright, pausing here. So, 11k send, or 11.1 from east, 11.4 from west. So, we'll call the sends like pretty similar, right? Sends are pretty similar. We got 44, 42 versus 4, 4. So, looking at the setups, red's leaking a lot here. Thrall, don't think it's particularly good on 16. It's tanky, but it doesn't have much damage behind it. Blue's like way too many cyborgs, way too many ice trolls. It was like anti-14, then when they didn't send 14 into anti-15, and then it's just like too late to really build much for 16 at that point. So Blue's gonna, like, no chance to hold there. Teal, I'd say, could. It's got, the Thralls are bulky at the front, Butchers are tanky. Doesn't have a lot of damage, but if he gets, like, on the lucky side with the melee alphas, potentially both, like, focusing down a Kraken or a Demon or something early, the bit of help from these guys could happen. He's pretty bad at killing mass. So I think his line is like, can he get through the mass and actually get onto one of the sends early? Otherwise he might struggle. And purple, like, he's doing okay, but the value's a bit shaky, the damage isn't really there. The yellow heavy armor frontline is just, it's not good. He's definitely leaking here. He has a chance to snipe something with Dark Priest Ascendant, but honestly I think it's pretty unlikely to happen. This is not great level for orange. Hades is like not particularly impressive 16. It's like, it's okay, but it's really is just okay. Obviously Trident not great. Ice Troll Aura doesn't do anything. Got a couple of Wind Riders, but definitely looking at a leak from orange. Do pink next. So pink looks pretty strong here. He's got some snipers, they've buffed themselves. Yeah, buffed themselves. He's got a couple of Hydras in front. Hydras are pretty good 16. Some blacksmiths, they're okay. Their turret does pierce, which is good. They themselves are medium, so they're tanky versus the actual salamanders. Then yeah, he's got a few different bits of pierce damage behind, so pink looks okay here. I see mid potential for sure. Then green looks fairly solid. Obviously high value being a big part of it. But berserkers are tanky as hell on 16, like they're really, really tanky. Thralls are really, really tanky. Got some turrets, which are not the worst damage in the world. He's just got like a lot of frontline, and then I think this will just end up being enough damage. So let's watch the don't put auto camera on because it doesn't like this map. Let's watch Pink Slang, because I said that Pink was the one that's like maybe. I guess this is a problem that I didn't really consider that does happen on range levels with the turrets. Yeah. If your units push forwards too much, the turrets become out of range quite quickly. So yeah, I didn't really think about that happening, but it happened. Looks like with the demon getting killed slightly early, still just got about enough though. Green's got a really solid mid, just tanky as hell. These guys leaking a bit. Any mids? Any mids? Any mids? Teal? Nah, not quite. There's 0 mids on west, 77 leaks into 0 heals. That's, Even my KC couldn't save that. So yeah, that'll be the end of the game. But West team will be losing here. So if we remember, best of 3 between these two teams. West team Force of Experience won the first game of the finals between these two. But Team East started with 1 win because they won the upper bracket semi-finals against Force of Execution. So as a reward for winning that upper semi, East here, TBA, started with 1 win. West started with 0 wins. West here, Force of Execution, won their first matchup game, so they were 1-1. Right, and this was the final deciding game. So congratulations to Team TBA, Team East, for winning the tournament. Well done to them. And yeah, hopefully their players also join up and have some success in the FBG tournament. That's coming up this weekend, so in like 2 days. But yeah, cheers very much for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Like, subscribe, all of that. As always, thank you to my patrons. You guys are legends. And I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.